Welcome back. In this video we will start our installation series, and yes, those installation videos are most of the time a little bit boring, but if you're new to Android app hacking, this might be very helpful for you, because at the beginning there are a lot of things which might be a little bit confusing. The Android Studio, the Virtual Device Manager, the SDK, those platform supports and more. So therefore I would like to include it over here. In case if you already have experience in Android app hacking, you might want to skip this right now. Maybe have a quick look at the emulator path, because at the second half there might be some new stuff, but otherwise feel free to skip this. In case if you haven't done the installation of an Android Studio before, then this video series is dedicated for you. So therefore, let's go. Okay, so here we are now back on our host system, and first of all let's insert some music, because with music it isn't that boring anymore, alright? And then let's hit up our virtualization of choice. Alright, we start by setting up our hacking system, and this one will be in basic Ubuntu VM, because all of these tools are working probably fine on this Ubuntu VM. So therefore we go into our virtualization of choice, VirtualBox, VM player, or whatever you want to use. And then we create a new virtual machine. We select Ubuntu 64-bit, then legacy UEFI, and we create a new virtual disk. Alright, we save those settings to a virtual machine and name this Android app hacking. And now we want to modify a few settings. First of all, we definitely want to increase the RAM of this virtual machine, because this is maybe the most important aspect of our VM. So we go into processor and memory, and here we increase it to at least 8000. So in my case, I'm choosing 8128. All right. Beside the RAM, I also increase the processor cores to 4. Okay. And then let's see. At this point, you also want to increase your hard disk. I have forgotten this point, unfortunately, right now, but that's not a big deal. In the emulator part, I will show you how you can easily extend it afterwards. So that's really no problem. But if you have the choice right now, then please do it right now. So I would suggest 60 GB, because the Android Studio, those Android images and the Virtual Device Manager, they require a lot of disk space. So 20 GB will be easily full. And later on we will also install some additional tools. So therefore I recommend 60 GB. This should be absolutely fine. Alrighty? Okay, back to this one. Alright. One thing we definitely want to make sure is that our USB and Bluetooth settings support USB 3. Later on we will connect real smartphones and also additional devices regarding to our man-in-the-middle setup, and some of them require an USB 3 connection. So this is something we definitely want to make sure. Therefore we go into USB and Bluetooth, we click on Advanced USB options, and then we select USB 3.1. So this is a very important step. Okay? Alright, now we've gotten compatibility to USB 3. Right now we want to proceed with installing our operating system, so therefore we need to insert it as a virtual disk into our virtual machine. And therefore we have to download this ISO first. To do this, we simply open our web engine of choice, and then we are searching for Ubuntu ISO 2004. And here we can see we've got it over here on ubuntu.com. So that's a trustworthy site, and we will download it from here. 2004 simply means this one has been released in April in 2020. And you might think right now, isn't this a little bit outdated? Well, not at all, because we can see this LTS stands for long-term support, which means 5 years. So we can talk about this in 2025, all right? Okay, so let's click on this one. And then we hit this download button. And let's see. Yes. The download is now being started, and we can see we are downloading the 2004 desktop AMD 64, which means 64-bit version. This is exactly what we want to have. So now we need to wait until this download has been finished, and this might take a while. Let's see. Yes, 4 minutes, I mean, it's okay regarding to this internet connection, so I'm not complaining too much about this. But nevertheless, relax a little bit, get some coffee and tea, and then I will see you after the download has been finished. Alrighty? So see you in just a moment. Okay, download has been finished. Back to this one. So now we go into CD, then we select our virtual disk, and then we select the ISO which we have downloaded just right before. Over here, please make sure that Connect CD DVD drive is being enabled. Otherwise the virtual machine wouldn't have a drive and we couldn't start from this one. Afterwards we start the system, and yes, we can immediately see that the system is now booting from the CD, so from our Ubuntu ISO, okay? We wait until the boot process has been finished, and there we have it. So now we've gotten desktop, and we can use try Ubuntu, which means we try the system out, or we can simply install it. In our case, we want to install it, so I click install Ubuntu. Then we select the language. Here we want to make sure that we have the minimal installation, because otherwise the system gets blown up with a lot of trash software. And we also want to make sure that install third-party software is being enabled. Okay, here we can see right now the graphics is being resized, so now we've gotten better resolution. Okay. We click on continue, and here we want to make sure that we select erase disk and install Ubuntu. Okay, then we click install now, and there we get a warning or an information that all those data will be deleted, but that's perfectly fine because we haven't any data on the system right now. So we click continue. We select our time zone. And now we need to define our username. So in this case, app. The system name will be hacking. The username is app, and we have to provide a password. All right. And that's all. So the system is now being installed, and this might take a while. So we have to wait until the process has been finished. So you will definitely have some time to grab some tea or coffee and turn back to this one. Okay, I will fast forward this process right now. There we go, installation complete. Now we can click restart now, and the system will reboot. After the system has been rebooted, there should be this login screen. There we have it. Now we enter our credentials, and this is our system. So we have set up our Ubuntu VM. The first time we run our system, we get a bunch of pop-ups. For example, connect online accounts. This is something we definitely want to skip. Then we've got live patches. Okay, we click next. Then we've got some stats, but we do not want to send anything out there. So we simply click no, don't. And then we click next. Privacy, no location services enabled, perfect, next, and that's it. So here we've got now the ready to go and some recommended software packages from the Ubuntu side. We will install some of them, but we will do this by the command line. So therefore we can click done. Okay, the first thing we want to do is updating our repositories. So those packages that we fetch the newest versions of them. Therefore, we open a new terminal and we are running sudo apt-get update. We insert the user credentials. Okay. And now we can install some additional software. So by updating it before, we can make sure that we are fetching the newest repositories. So for now, at least I want to have ZSH, Git, and Vim enabled. So let's install all of them. Okay. We click yes. Now we have them installed, and next I want to have a nicer terminal view. So I like the Omite ZSH template for this one. So let's open Firefox. Okay, and let's search for Omite ZSH. Here we have the Git repository, and if you scroll down, we can find the basic installation part with a curl command. Let's simply copy this curl command, inserting it in our terminal over here, and oh well, I haven't curl installed yet, so therefore let's do this right now. Apt-get install curl. Okay. Now we can use the upper arrow key to repeat the last command, this one. And now we can see ZSH is being installed. Over here we can see, do you want to change your default shell to ZSH? And this is something we want to have, because our default shell is the bash, and now we want to have this ZSH. All right. We insert our credentials, and here we have it. This is now ZSH with the Omite ZSH template. Okay, let's tune some settings in this terminal. So within preferences colors, let's play around with the background. So we start maybe with a solarized dark and then make it a little bit more dark. The text terminal a little bit more bright, so a little bit white. And then we also change all these other colors. So we want to have them a little bit lighter right now. Okay. Then we enable transparent a little bit, just a little bit. There we go. Okay, this looks nice right now. Perfect. Let's also change the desktop background. And I do not know why they have disabled it, but we cannot choose in solid color anymore. Therefore, we simply make a screenshot of a black box, drag it onto our Ubuntu VM, and then select this as background. Okay, and here we have it. The last thing I want to add, and then we have the basic configuration done, is a shortcut for our terminal. So opening this on the left side with the mouse is a little bit annoying, and we will use quite a lot terminals. Therefore, we create a shortcut. Within settings, we go into keyboard and shortcuts, and here we're searching for terminal. And this one already has one, but we changed this to Control and T, at least for my preference, and choose whatever you like. But now I simply can start a new terminal by hitting Control T. we can see the ZSHRC has not been selected yet. We can run this manually with a ZSH. Here we can see, yes, it's working. But if you want to have it right now, we could restart or simply log off from this current user account. And then we start a new session and everything should be fine. So let's do this. We log out. We log in again and let's open a new terminal, Control T. There we have it. ZSH is working, perfect. Now we can move on with installing the Android Studio. To install the Android Studio, we simply open the Firefox, which has been already installed on the system, but feel free to install the browser of your choice. And then we are typing Android Studio into Google. Then we click on the link https developer.android.com. So this is our trustworthy source where we want to download the Android Studio. And here we have it. Download the Android Studio. Alright. Afterwards, we have to read carefully through those terms and conditions. And in case if we agree, we hit this checkbox and download the Android Studio. Save file, and there we go. Alright. The Studio is now being downloaded and it's about 1 GB large. So this might take a while. I will fast forward this process that we do not lose any time on this one. Alright, the Studio has been downloaded. Would be absolutely nice if it's always that fast. So by simply clicking on this, those files will be decompressed. This might take, once again, a little bit of time. And here we have it. Now we select this one, extract, and yeah, we select, for example, this downloads directory. Alright, these files are now being extracted. These are now 2 GB large, so we can see our disk space needs to be really big. Okay. So once again, let's fast forward this process. Okay, now we can click on show the files. So this is now our Android Studio with all these binaries. Okay, let's create a new directory within our home directory where we can put it in afterwards. So within the home directory, we create a new one, we name this tools, and then we simply drag and drop it into this one. Alright, we do a little bit of cleanup because we do not want to waste 1 GB in our downloads directory right now. And then we want to proceed installing the Android Studio. So we simply go into this Tools Android Studio directory. And here we can now do a little bit of a trick. We can do a right click, open a new terminal. This will open a new terminal in this current directory. So we do not have to change this path until we end up in this one over here. That's super handy. Okay, then we go into this bin directory and we launch the Studio by typing in bash studio.sh. And there we go. So the Android Studio is now being launched. We can see we can import existing settings, but we haven't it installed yet, so we do not have any existing settings. Okay, we click on next. All right, now the installation process finally begins. Data sharing? Nope, don't send any data. Next. Here we want to choose custom because we want to be in charge of what is being installed and what not. So therefore we choose custom. Next. Here we can now define a Java runtime environment. So regarding to Java, this is a little bit ridiculous. If we have an application written in Java, it needs a runtime environment. So we need to have Java installed on our system. So far so good. But regarding to new Java versions, there will be also new classes and old ones gets removed. So it could be the case that our Java runtime environment is not compatible to the Android Studio runtime environment. And therefore the Android Studio is shipping its own environment where the developers of Android Studio make sure that everything works perfectly fine. So in this case, we definitely want to use the Java runtime environment which comes shipped and not the ones which might have been already installed on our system. Alright, so we